Ladies and gentlemen and Force users of all ages, welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a Star Wars podcast where we get to the guts of what makes Star Wars meaningful to us. I'm Daniel Dawson, and I'm joined by these two adorable nerf herders, Dino Nicandros.
Hello.
And Alyssa Simmons.
Hi, everybody.
And this week, we remain outside the Tauntaun, discussing the Disney Marvel mind-bending extravaganza they call WandaVision. This is Season 1, Episode 5, directed by Matt Shakman and written by Peter Cameron Mackenzie Dorr, and by God, we're Star Wars fans. Ooh, and Marvel fans.
Great.
Hey, I'm
happy.
I'm
Proud
very
of you.
pleased.
Proud of you. All right.
I'm so happy for you.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
You guys, I did that intro all by myself.
Just so damn proud of you.
Wow.
Oh, thanks.
So a little behind the scenes for those four of you listening. Daniel, for some reason, we're I think maybe 25 episodes in,
Yeah,
and
probably.
Daniel for some reason does not have our intro memorized yet.
Nope. Still don't.
So we've
I think
been
it's
hoping.
because it's not in my own words, you know?
But you're an actor. You always say
Right.
words that are not
It's
your
like,
own.
You must write all your own material.
You're absolutely right.
What are you
I
even
still
talking
don't-
about?
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Anyhow, he wrote it out
I did
and said it this week. So
Set it
everybody
and forget it.
be proud of Daniel.
This is a big step
Big
forward. for
moment.
Send
this
your love in the
podcast.
comments. Thanks.
All right, let's talk
My
about
Venmo is at
WandaVision.
Daniel-Dawson-4.
he's
You can send me
self-prom-
tips if you'd like.
Oh no! Yikes!
Oh God. Okay,
Oh.
so strap in, boys and girls.
Oh, wait.
What?
Wait, before we
We
go,
almost forgot.
before we
We almost
go,
forgot.
we have
What are we
to say
forgetting?
a very special something to a very special someone.
Oh,
A very happy birthday to Maestro John Williams, His Majesty,
Yay!
His
our
Holiness,
Lord and Savior.
our Lord and Savior John
Truly.
Williams,
Truly.
who's turned 89 years young
Oh.
this year.
Bless him. So should
And
we all
long
sing
ma-
happy birthday together at the same time?
Well,
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 I'm,
how about
you
everyone
know,
just thinks it? It's the think method.
just think about him.
Just
think about him.
Think about him
no,
today.
because it definitely works when you sing happy birthday together online. It always ends up
Yes.
the same. It's
Yeah.
He deserves far better than that.
You're right.
Far better than anything we can give him.
You're right.
Anyway.
You're absolutely right.
So, anyways, happy birthday, John Williams.
happy
Thank you
birthday.
from the bottom of our nerdy hearts for all of the beautiful music you have brought to us.
Keep it
Seriously.
coming.
Thank
Keep
you
it
for
coming.
making me cry, for making me smile, all the things. Gosh darn it, I love you.
Yep.
I love
Yep.
you.
Yep. Yep.
And everyone get your shit together in Los Angeles
Your
so we can
feces.
get him back to the Hollywood Bowl.
Yes,
For goodness
please.
sakes.
We need it.
Please, God, Jesus God. Okay.
That being said.
All right,
That all
now,
being said,
now let's do it.
now let's F this F up. Guys, just gonna say I'm sorry ahead of time. I mean, this episode was insane. I tried to recap it. Like, I wrote some things down. Also, I'm realizing that I don't really write the way I speak, so it's probably gonna sound really strange, but bear with me. And also, Dino and Alyssa, you can be corrections corner if it feels like I missed anything. Also, I'm just gonna say that I mixed in a lot of my my Easter egg finds with the recap. So if you noticed anything, feel free to interrupt at any moment.
Groovy.
Oh, I will.
Oh, I know you.
I'm
will.
just gonna
I know
scream.
you will.
I'm just gonna start screaming.
Wrong.
Oh God, yeah, wrong. So wrong. Okay, so first of all, we get a recap of the series so far. One major difference that I saw in the recap, we're seeing yet another version of the moment right after Wanda yeeted Monica out of her house.
Mhm.
When she says "Oh, she left, honey. She had to rush home." Like that spooky little line. They now have created. That's now. She's gone. she didn't belong here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
different. But it's really crazy that it feels like Wanda is seemingly breaking the fourth wall and editing even like the series recap
Yes.
for us,
Yeah.
which is like a fun
Yes.
little touch. Yeah, and then something else that I noticed that it was only in certain places, and it feels like where like the light is the brightest in this particular episode, it kind of felt like there was that sort of reddish.
Red, yes.
Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
notice it too? Okay, cool,
Yes.
cool, cool.
Yep.
There's
Yes.
like a reddish tint, like if you especially
Like a
when you're
vignette.
looking at a window or something like that.
Yes.
You know,
And I was astounded by that choice, even something so small.
It's a
But
really
when I
light
turned up the
filter.
brightness on my TV and figured out what they were doing, and that it was kind of a manifestation of Wanda's mental powers.
very, very
it's like,
cool.
that is crazy awesome.
What a subtle, neat little touch, because
Yeah.
it's just for us nerds that are gonna like zoom and
Yeah.
enhance, you know.
Oh, no, awesome choice.
So we open the episode on a set that looks very familiar. If anyone grew up watching shows like Family Ties, Wanda
And Growing Pains.
and Growing
Full
Pains.
House.
Yeah, it's
later
kind of
on,
like a
but
combo
yeah.
of all three of those.
A big hodgepodge, if you will.
Mhm.
Wanda and Vision are attempting to calm their babies and having a rough time of it. Vision says he's reading Charles Darwin's Descent of Man, which is about human evolution. Potentially.
Interesting
I
comment
think I just
there.
interrupted what you were about to say, but
Please, and. But yeah, potentially nodding to the fact that the MCU is apparently very quickly shifting into the idea that mutants exist now. You know?
Mhm.
Very, very fun.
mhm.
Wanda attempts to use her powers to control her babies, and realizes it doesn't work. Oh my god. It seems that there are limits to what she can do. Similarly to the moment with the stork. Because she couldn't
Yes.
poof the stork out of existence. And then Agnes drops by, calls herself Auntie Agnes. So cute. And offers her, she's dressed up in a jazzercise outfit. Very cute in 80s. She offers her services to calm the babies. Vision, for some reason, refuses to let her help, which is very interesting. And then Agnes gets really nervous. And that we get our first spooky moment of the episode. She breaks character and asks Wanda if she wants to. She want to take that scene again?
Oh my gosh.
And it's just Wanda.
Oh,
and
that
like,
made me feel so
uncomfortable. Ooh.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, and then the audience stops laughing, clapping, or it just gets really silent.
Well, and it's like, what to make of that moment?
Right.
Because is Agnes under Wanda's control? Is
Very
it the
good
other
point.
way around, or is it a third option that we're not even really considering?
And
But,
I'm kind of almost leaning towards maybe the third option, potentially, that there is something else that we still
Just-
have not.
After this episode, I mean, last episode, I feel like we were like, it's Wanda. It's
Yeah,
all
this is it.
Wanda. After this episode, I'm like, there's
I'm not
another.
for sure.
There's, I think, another villain in here, and we don't
Yeah.
know about it yet.
Possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, she turns to Wanda as if she's like the director of the show, more or less. And so also, as you said, I think it shows that Agnes isn't really fully under Wanda's control, which is interesting. And also Vision and the kids are seemingly not completely under her control. They have some form of consciousness within her reality that she's created. The kids disappear from their cribs for a moment and then reappear at the foot of the stairs, 5 years older. Whoa, wow, whoa.
Weird.
So this is totally a nod to. Did y'all watch Family Ties?
Oh God, yes.
I've seen. I didn't watch.
I was a little too young to watch it. I was a big Growing Pains kid.
Also same.
But in Family Ties, there Andy Keaton in Family Ties in season 4, Andy was born and spent the whole first season as a baby, and then in
Yes.
season 5, he's 5 years old, and
Brand new kid.
no one explains why that happened.
Nope. It's just
I love
fine.
that.
So
No,
that's
just
obviously
she's
a
fine,
total
it's fine. Just go with it.
Right.
total nod to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it happens all the time in the sitcoms.
Yeah, but a 5-year jump is really
Kind of hilarious.
really bizarre.
But yeah, Agnes says, kids, Can't control him, no matter how hard you try.
Her delivery of that was so good.
Yeah, so she's drinking God knows what.
Yeah, she's like, I've been looking.
Looking for some
I was
dark
looking.
liquor
I was
or
looking
something.
for your dark liquor. She's like, oh,
For the
what kind of
babies.
babysitter do you think I am? It's for the babies, not me.
Which is so great. I freaking love that. Because, yes,
wow.
of course, in the 80s, like, parents are like, yeah, give them a little nip. You know?
Oh, yeah, if they can't stop crying, just rub a little whiskey on their gums.
Yeah, that'll put them to sleep. Totally fine in the 80s. But, yeah, interesting thought about the children not being able to be controlled by Wanda. Is it just her kids, or is it all kids? This is where I was kind of going a little bit down crazy lane. And that's why there's no children in Westview. Like, is it possible that, like, the children, like, couldn't be controlled by Wanda, and so they all just left or are hiding from this, you know? What are your thoughts about that?
Ooh. I don't know. I feel like there weren't kids there because
There just
I think
weren't any kids in this town?
Well, I don't think the town's real. I think
Oh,
Wanda.
so you think the town was just a completely, like, it just appeared because of Wanda? Or who knows what?
Yeah, I think that she created the town and then
Honestly,
is
I
using,
didn't even think about that. I
is
just always
using
assumed
the
that
missing
the town existed, and then
people.
she came in and then changed it.
Yeah, because I don't think there's a part of me, and we see this side of Wanda in this where she is struggling with some things, and we'll get into that. But I don't think that she would put kids in there.
Well, yeah, no. If she did have the choice, you're probably right. She.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I kind of think Westview is real.
That, I'm leaning more on towards that too.
But they set up her powers as such as that she could erase people's memories of it, number one.
Right.
And alter the memories of anybody who knew anyone who lived there. So the possibility exists that maybe she removed the kids and their memories
they're
are all,
somewhere else.
Maybe there was
something
a moral
happened.
issue
I don't know.
involved. She was just like, oh well, I don't feel as bad about the adults, but the kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
Unless she just kidnapped people and put them in there, but
Well, the other thought is too is because it sounds like the well, we'll get back into it later on about like when Vision awakens Norm, but there's seemingly and also when Monica wakes up and which we're just about to get into, and she talks about how she just heard Wanda's voice in her head and her trauma and her grief, and maybe she's using like the trauma of these adults like to like I don't know. I'm doing a really deep dive right now, but we'll get into it later. Let's move on because I have lots to talk about.
One little thing. Sorry, before we get on to Monica.
Oh no, please go.
In the comics, Agatha Harkness often babysits Wanda's twins.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's definitely a nod to that. And when the kids disappear, that's also a thing that we've talked about in the comics, that whenever Wanda's not around, the twins like literally don't exist.
Yes.
So yeah, just those are two little things.
Very interesting. Then we get the opening title sequence, which is another huge nod to family ties with the painting of the family portraits. So freaking great.
And
of
this
course,
theme song was fantastic.
Oh
So
my
good.
God, so good.
They're
Probably
nailing
one of
the
their
theme
best for
songs.
sure.
Yeah, making
also,
it up as
I
we
did-
go along.
I didn't look it up, but is that their voices too?
Whose voices?
The writers of the music.
Oh, the Lopez's?
the Lopez.
Yeah, is that the Lopez's?
I don't think so.
It was somebody else that recorded for them.
Yeah, I don't think it's them, but maybe I'm wrong.
Could be. Yeah, let's see here. Deedle-deedle-deedle-deep. But yeah, also nodding to Full House with the family picnic and the family like running towards the camera. And also Growing Pains with the picture of family members growing up. Also, I just want to say the little Vision is so fucking cute.
Oh my gosh, that gave me a good chuckle.
So funny. But yeah, I grew up in the 80s, so a lot of this episode rang a lot of nostalgia bells in my head for sure. There's fun Easter eggs throughout the set. We talked a little bit about it, but like little touches like the Kiss the Cook sign was the same Kiss the Cook sign that they had in the Family Ties kitchen set. Because I was like, that has to be so specific. There was like only one blue pillow on the couch. I was like, that has to be a thing. And I went back to the living room set of Growing Pains. Same thing. Their living room couch has one blue pillow. Like, how stupid. I love that little itty bitty detail.
That's so good.
They also show a picture of Tommy and Billy celebrating 5 birthdays all at once with the birthday cake with the 1 to 5 candles. Interesting to note about Vision. I mean, this could literally just be like tee hee ha ha, but like also, well, first of all, it's hilarious to see him dressed as a turkey, but also that he gets progressively more like he's not having a good time in the pictures. Like he's like smiling and then he's progressively like not smiling, which I think is kind of foreshadowing for the rest of the episode, at least, you know, potentially. But yeah, then we're back in the real world with Monica explaining to Sword about what she went through while in Wanda's hex. And also we are now calling it a hex. That's just the new word.
Yep.
Because it's shaped like a hex. Wanda explains how she kept hearing Wanda's voice and her grief and helplessness. She's getting a medical examination and her body scans are coming back blank or almost nothing but light, which is very interesting. Possibly hinting that she now has superhuman powers?
Oh, yeah. I think we're going there.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going there?
It's potentially like seeing the beginnings of Photon or Spectrum or whatever you want to call, or whatever they're gonna
whoever
call
her hero name ends up being.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, also I'm curious because I'm not as familiar with her comics in particular, but like, how did she get the powers? Did she get it from Wanda or did she get it from Captain Marvel? Also, does she know about her powers and she's not telling anybody, or is it like something that just hasn't been unlocked yet? I'm so curious about all of these things.
Yeah, I don't know. I would need to do some digging on that. I'm not sure.
Also, same. But I'm asking the questions.
I believe, and I could be totally wrong here, but I believe in the comics, it's like they come from Scarlet Witch, right?
Maybe? Question mark? Guys,
I don't know.
Leave it in the comments below.
Yeah.
Help us, please, because I don't know who I am. But yeah, then we get a debriefing by the Sword director Tyler, douchebag, and also Agent Wu. This is a great window for honestly. This was like a really great window for those that are just casually watching WandaVision or may not have seen the previous films or maybe don't remember what happened. But like, it was such a great, really, really fast breakdown of like the important things that relate to WandaVision. Yeah, interesting to note that this is interesting. So I kind of was trying to break down the Sword logo a little bit. I mean, there's really not that much to it, but I did notice that there's like 4 stars on either side of the logo and then the 1 star in the middle, so 9 stars in total. And I'm like, how does 9 relate to Marvel? And there's the 9 realms, and you know, being that Sword is like this, you know, organization that looks outward into the universe, it might have something to do with that. Maybe? Question mark? I don't know. Just a thought.
Maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe. That whole briefing is as you were saying, Daniel, is really informative and interesting, and you can see that Wu is definitely an Avengers apologist.
Yes,
and that he's trying to paint Wanda in the best light as possible.
We're getting the it's really great because we're getting the 2 sides of the story. Yeah.
Well, and it comes up later in the episode in a very creative way, but they mention her meltdown in Lagos, Nigeria,
right?
Which you'll remember is at the beginning of Captain America: Civil War, where she detonates crossbones and takes out a whole section of a skyscraper and kills a bunch of people. And that you can kind of see the direction Hayward is coming from. And how he wants to deal with her.
Like he's using words like radicalize and terrorism, and Wu is like, you know, no, you can totally explain every little like reason that she did. Like, it's really, really smart writing.
Oh, and also backtracking just a little bit to when Monica's getting her medical scan, they elicit the name Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she quickly dismisses it.
Yeah, she's got a weird reaction there.
So what is going on there? Because, I mean, that's Aunt Carol.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wonder what has happened if they're still in contact.
Something is askew. We're about to get to that conversation. But yeah, so but it's getting pretty clear in the briefing that there are two sides in S.W.O.R.D. One that thinks Wanda is a terrorist and one that thinks that Wanda is misunderstood. An interesting note is when Tyler asks Wu if Wanda has ever had an alias and whether or not this was the first time that she used her powers was against the Avengers in Age of Ultron. And I was like, okay, is he teasing that something did happen before Age of Ultron and that we're not aware of? And perhaps back then she went by the name Scarlet Witch? Question mark?
Go ahead.
I feel like the reason for that was sort of to just kind of maybe solidify that, like, Scarlet Witch has the code name or alias or whatever has not been used in MCU.
Right.
No, it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, I mean, Kevin Feige has confirmed that, like, we are going to see Wanda become Scarlet Witch.
But yeah, I'm curious whether or not we're going to see that in a flashback or if it's going to be something that's coming in the future. But I mean, he makes it sound like she did have an alias, but Wu just happened to not know about it. You know, because he was just like, oh, you didn't know about that? Interesting. Kind of. That's at least the way I read it. I might have read it completely wrong, but also of note, when Monica is defending Wanda, she calls Wanda's hex a quarantine. She says that Wanda might have saved thousands by putting up this quarantine. And I'm like, my mind is exploding thinking about, like, what that really means. Because it's like, is she protecting the world from something that we don't know about? Yeah, so that goes back to your thought, Alyssa, that there might be something else, like another layer to this. Like, yes, she is doing these things. And yes, she is trying to bring, Vision back to life, maybe, but, like, is it because, like, is that just a symptom of another cause?
Thing? Yeah.
But yeah, then we get a really big info drop that apparently Wanda broke into S.W.O.R.D's HQ and stole or recovered Vision's body. Wow.
And that's a deleted scene.
Yeah, right.
Which is not, they didn't shoot it for this, which is interesting.
Really interesting.
So she is truly playing with Vision's corpse.
I
mean, this is just macabre.
It's so spooky. Although, so from the camera footage, we might assume that Wanda is attempting to take his body away because S.W.O.R.D. could be using his body for spooky purposes. Yeah, like Tyler did say, like in the the fourth episode. Was it just the last episode? Oh my god, that's crazy. About when the blip where we meet Monica.
Last episode.
Holy crap! How is that possible? Okay, anyways, but yeah, Tyler did say that they were in the process of creating sentient weapons and AI, and perhaps Vision's body was how they were able to do this. Also confirmed that Tyler is a dick. I just wrote that down because he knew more than he let us all know. And we could tell that Monica isn't having any of what Tyler is saying and knows deep down that Wanda was potentially maybe in the right for what she did. I mean, maybe not in the way that she did it, but like, she was probably like, no, this is not what, this was against Vision's wishes, like after he perished. He did
his living will.
Yeah, they mentioned that.
Really interesting that the Synthezoid had a living will.
Yeah.
Correct.
Really, really, really interesting. So they're just like, nah, we're going to experiment them anyways. That's fine. So we go back into Wanda's world, and we see Tommy and Billy wearing red and green clothes, which
no
is
accident
possibly
there.
A very cute nod to Wicca and Speed's superhero costumes from the comics. The kids apparently found a dog that they inevitably named Sparky. which is another nod to the comics. Vision has a synthesoid dog named Sparky in those comics, which is a very, very dark comic. I was like,
oh, I know. I
reading
looked
up
up
about it, and I
all
was
the,
like,
the
oh.
details about that Sparky storyline. It's like so scary.
Yeah,
Because
so
the
sad and
the
spooky.
dog like originally belonged to some neighbors, and then
Right.
he was killed when he accidentally dug up the Grim Reaper's corpse and
Yes.
and electrocuted himself on the weapon.
Poor guy.
And then they
But-
make him a synthesoid dog.
But honestly, you make a really, really interesting point with that because, I mean, again, it could just be like a really fun, cute nod, and like it might not mean anything at all. But in episode 2, we did see the Grim Reaper's helmet in like the little cartoon opening that was like beneath the floorboards with the dog bone. You know,
Yeah.
It's like did this actually happen, or they're just like, hey, we know that you know about the comic, so here's a cute little Easter egg that we know you'll love.
Could be
Yeah.
either.
Just very interesting. But also makes you wonder because later on, you know, spoiler alert. I mean, I really hope that all the people that are listening to this have seen the episode because, like, why would you be listening to this?
I mean,
No,
You're insane.
That would be silly.
stop it.
But Sparky dies later in the episode, and you're like, wait, how does he die? Very interesting. I mean, you know, Agnes explains, but
He ate too many
he ate
leaves.
the
or-
azalea leaves.
yeah, the poisonous leaves. But like, is she lying? Agnes is kind of sus, but we'll get into it. So, Wanda and Vision decide the boys aren't ready for a dog until they're 10 years old. They look at each other with a look of tee-hee, and then they just make themselves 10 years old. And Wanda and Vision are like, son of a bitch. Should have been more specific. But yeah, so they apparently have the ability to change their own ages, I guess? Question mark?
Yeah.
Which is like,
Yeah,
wow,
I
that's
don't
quite
know.
the power.
We
'Cause
also saw.
They seemingly did that to themselves, right? Like, is that what you guys
It's-
read? Like, they looked at them.
Yeah,
they
it
looked
Yeah,
at
I
seemed
mean,
like
she's-
they did it. They themselves, the twins.
I mean, unless Wanda thought it would be, you know, funny for the sitcom purposes, so she
yeah,
she
I
makes
don't
it
know.
happen because, like, oh, the audience is gonna love this.
Well, I think it's more that she doesn't have control over what's happening.
that.
with
Yeah,
them.
that's what I
Mhm.
think too.
Like, this is a runaway train.
Yeah.
Did
Totally agree.
either of you catch in this scene, like right before Agnes comes in with the dog, little dog house or whatever for the boys?
Oh yes.
Did you catch the newspaper? That
Oh shoot, what did it say again?
okay, so Vision is holding a newspaper, and the headline says "Local homemakers innovating recipes,"
Oh yes.
and then he
right.
folds it, and it just says HOM. So it's another nod to the Scarlet Witch comic.
So great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So great. Gosh darn it.
They're clever.
They're very, very
Sure
clever, those
are.
dirty poopies. So, and then we see Agent Wu just adorably walking some coffee into the office. Just like, so, I love coffee. Then we see Monica discussing how to get a vehicle into Wanda's hex and mentions an aerospace engineer that could help.
Who do we think it is? There's a lot of
Who
theories
do
out
we
there.
think it is? Do you have a thought in your mind? Because I have a couple. I mean, it's plausible. I just don't think that they would announce that character in a TV show. I mean, maybe though. But I mean, it's possible that this is like a nod and a wink to the Fantastic Four.
That's what I
Reed Richards.
read.
Yeah,
Mhm.
either that, or it could be, you know, something that we don't know because like we haven't seen Captain Marvel 2 yet. Like it might be one of the like it might have been the Skrull kid potentially, like grown up Skrull kid, because I think that she also becomes an heir. I'm not exactly 100% on that, but a lot of options, I suppose.
There's lots
but-
of theories.
The Fantastic Four, especially with their history as astronauts. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what they are when they're given their powers.
Yeah.
And there's such an emphasis with S.W.O.R.D. on space.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember back to the first time we see like the sword installation, there's all these shuttles.
Right.
These space shuttles just littered across the entire campus. They could be the Fantastic Four, before we know them as that, could be sword employees.
It's very believable.
Were in space when the blip happened.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe something happened
cool.
in that
I like that.
regard.
Yeah.
Or Wanda could end up being responsible, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very
Mystery.
interesting.
It's so fun with
Also-
this show because I feel like we get like 3 pieces of information and then
Yeah.
trickled in like 3 more mysterious things.
Yes.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, we get some questions answered, but then they like just trickle in more questions and
More
more mystery.
intrigue.
So it's so fun.
So fun. So yeah, then we see we already said that. That's great. But yeah, this is another press pause and look moment. But yeah, according to the casting board, as we're calling it, they figured out who the mailman is. So mailman is confirmed, another New Jersey resident, but we still have not figured out who Agnes is. WTF.
Very odd.
Very odd. Dun dun dun. Then we get Wu, and this is where the Wu and Monica argument comes in about the events of Endgame, where she's saying that Wanda could have defeated Thanos single-handedly. A lot of nerds have argued about this.
About how Wu would know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
then-
because a
and
lot
then-
of people
I
are
don't-
like, the Avengers kind of kept things on the DL.
Right.
So
Like, everyone was blipping back during that epic fight. So
Yeah, right.
I'm not quite sure how he would know, but maybe we'll get an explanation.
maybe he has files or something or
Yeah,
info.
I'm more than likely there was reports. I mean, I'm sure there was many.
It's a minor
reports done
detail,
about it.
but I knew nerds would freak out about how would you know that? You weren't there.
You weren't there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all recorded, of course. They saw it. They saw it in the movie theaters.
I mean, yeah, you and I watched it. I mean,
Yeah.
We are breaking the fourth wall a lot in this show.
Correct.
But yeah, and then Wu suggests that Captain Marvel came close to defeating Thanos, and all of a sudden we get a very cold reaction from Monica.
that's when it happened. I
yeah,
thought it
it was
happened
then.
earlier. Yes.
But yeah, so there's clearly some bad blood going on there. Something that happened maybe in the events of Marvel 2. But yeah, interesting. Oh, interestingly enough, because I basically just got finished watching the entire Infinity Saga. And so I was like, I'm gonna watch Spider Far From Home again. And even Nick Fury, actually technically was a Skrull impersonating Nick Fury, but spoiler alert if you haven't seen that. He says at one point, because Spider-Man mentions Captain Marvel, and Nick Fury says, "Don't invoke her name." Which is a very interesting reaction. I mean, now seeing what Monica's reaction is to hearing Captain Marvel's name, like that context kind of changed that for me. I was like, did something happen? Like, are they
I wonder what
kind
the
of
frustration with her is.
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, something
It's very mysterious.
Yeah, so it makes me I'm definitely looking forward to Captain Marvel 2, where we will likely find out what the hell that is. Then we get Monica shooting her pants because she realizes that everything that goes into Wanda's world is just being rearranged into a different form. Such an interesting thing. So yeah, her Kevlar vest that she was wearing turned into Kevlar bell-bottom pants.
Just crazy.
So cool.
Freaking great. So yeah, then they hatch a plan to send something in that doesn't
require changing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Maybe something that's already from the 80s. Then we get Vision back in his office, and Norm asks about the new computers. Says, "Can it find me a wife?" And Vision responds, "Eventually, yes." Which I think is interesting because, like, does he know that, or is he just speculating?
Right. Or is it a line that Wanda put in there? I mean, it's hard to say because from this episode, we're not really sure if she
has full control over him.
Can control him, but
yeah.
Well, and I'm leaning towards she has successfully, at least for the time being, resuscitated him.
Like, no,
Right.
these are your lines. Say
and
your lines.
he's starting to figure it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or he's remembering shards of
like little bits here and there.
what came before.
The
Yep.
script. But yeah, they turn the computer on to quote unquote surf the net, and some binary code comes up, and of course I googled it to see what the translation was, and you know what it was?
What?
I don't know.
Drink more Ovaltine?
Unfortunately, yeah, definitely. Oh my god. No, apparently nobody's figured it out yet, sadly. But if they do, you bet your ass I'll let you know what it is. It might also
great.
just be gobbledygloop. But
Yeah.
we get a creepy moment when the entire office staff starts reading the email they get together, which is
From
like,
Darcy.
very horrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a message from Sword. Yeah. Spooky. And then Vision awakens Norm. So okay, this is crazy because, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened, but we got a spoiler moment for this in episode 4, because we saw the memo on the wall that basically said that they basically explained this exact moment. Remember what I was telling you about? Like it said like basically, Vision awakens Norm, and we fear for their well-being and la da 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 da. So it just is weird that episode came before this one. So was it filmed out of order? Is that a MCU is not very known for continuity errors, so I assume that it probably was on purpose, but I just don't know. It's just interesting.
I'm first of all, I'm certain they didn't film in order.
Yeah.
Second of
you're
all,
probably right.
it
So
probably
it could have just been a
it
mistake.
probably was just like a shot that they used and possibly didn't realize that it was like information from the following episode.
And some nerd
for
was
the
gonna,
following
like,
episode.
zoom in and try to figure out what it says.
Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry about it. But yeah, either way, Norm is freaking out, confirms to Vision that this is all not right and that Wanda is causing these people real pain.
Ugh.
So
gosh.
effing spooky.
And his performance in that,
So good.
so good.
Yeah, the flip, the
Mhm.
180-degree flip.
Yep.
Put that
I'm
on your
obsessed.
reel, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Um,
Also noticed the, because Vision's working at a computer company now,
Right.
and it's they're working on a Commodore 64, which was an early personal computer that was honestly considered one of the first like gaming computers. They were
Yeah.
better than other consoles during that
Totally.
time. So that's kind of cool.
Definitely. Very, very cool. I definitely remember playing on those in computer lab. Oh,
Mhm.
man. Those were the days. Then we get Sparky being trained by Billy. So let me know if you thought this too, but like, just because I'm in that watching 80s shows mentality watching this episode, but there was a production company called Ubu, it was called Ubu, I think, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, Ubu. And it was literally just a picture of a dog, and at the end of every episode of whatever, like, I think it was Family Ties, you would hear, sit, Ubu, or sit, Ubu, sit, good dog, and then roof.
Oh, that
Do you
was
guys
the
remember
little
that?
production company. No, I don't remember that.
I don't think I
I don't know
recall.
It was in a bunch of, that apparently Ubu Productions, I think, they were involved with a lot of our 80s shows. But yeah, sit, Ubu, sit, good dog, rough. That was a very common thing to hear at the end of episodes. But anyway, I thought that was maybe a nod to that because that's basically exactly what Billy said to Sparky. But also an interesting note that he put the treat to his temple as he was saying it. Like, almost as if he was, like, telepathically speaking to the dog, maybe, which might be referring to his hero abilities, which are very similar to her mom's. If we're, when he grows up, he's basically like a new Wanda.
Right.
But, okay, also, very curious if you think that, because we've talked about this before, but it sounds like they're sort of slowly but surely building a Young Avengers like show of some sort, and that these kids might be involved, maybe.
I don't think these kids will be involved.
Well, not these particular actors, but I mean,
No, I mean, like, I don't think they care. I don't think they exist.
Oh, you do? Okay, that's interesting. Very interesting. I really hope that they are, because I think isn't Wicca? Yeah, Wicca in the comics is like the first gay wedding that we got, which was just last year.
Yeah, that was
very,
last
very
year.
sweet.
Oh my gosh, whoa.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Well, they might do that in WandaVision, but I
that
don't.
would be interesting.
I don't think they're real though. But I bet they grow up. I bet we see Speed and Wiccan by the end of this series.
I think you're right, Dino. Yeah.
But I think the tragedy is going to be that none of it was.
Oh God, that'd be so sad.
sad.
Oh, you're breaking my heart. Stop it. Okay, so they're having a very typical 80s show heart moment when the mom sits down.
Yeah,
with
this was
kids
so
and
Full House.
Teaches them a life lesson.
This was
Yeah.
This was Danny
great.
Tanner with
Absolutely Danny Tanner, 100%.
with Stephanie and DJ sitting on the couch. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me just tell you about what I know. Yeah. So the kids ask about Wanda's brother. Ooh, awkward. And then, of course, they get interrupted by the sound of an 80s tech drone flying into the hex.
Stark drone.
A Stark drone,
yep.
yes. Monica attempts to talk to Wanda via the drone, but Tyler, douchebag, has different plans and tries to shoot her with a missile. I mean, like,
I was
we
like,
find out the drone is armed.
yeah.
what the effity F? Like, is he? I mean, like,
Which,
obviously he's an idiot, but like, what an idiot to think.
Has he never watched a Marvel movie before?
Does he not
Apparently
know what
not.
she's capable of? Like, fucking dumb. I'm sorry. Anyways,
Well,
I'm
he's
so
been
angry at
watching
him.
this broadcast, so he knows how powerful she is.
Dumb,
and anyways,
dumb.
idiot.
Like, even if he's not like truly like, has a nefarious purpose or whatever, or he's just not good at his job.
No, no.
That's that. Anyway,
That we
I
know for
digress.
sure.
Yes.
Then we see a badass moment of Wanda coming outside of her hex, dragging the broken drone behind her. Oh man, the chills that I got. I was like, oh.
Well, this was
dressed in her modern garb.
Yeah, she's back in that. I mean, I don't know if you thought of this, but it reminded me so much of a Magneto moment in X-Men.
Oh,
yeah.
Hundo.
When he like
totally
uses
even
his
wrote that down.
powers and like changes the direction of
The
the
flick.
guns and yeah.
So
Yes,
freaking
it was Ian McKellen from the original X-Men.
Yep.
100%.
Just
Yeah.
awesome.
So good.
I mean, if that's it has to be a nod at least.
Oh,
at the very least a nod.
Yes.
And my great hope.
Oh man.
And I'm gonna do this now.
My nipples are getting
I was gonna
hard
save it for the
just
end of the
for you.
episode.
Yeah.
no, do it now.
But
do it now.
my absolute hope is that the cameo they've been
teasing
saying is coming
Yeah.
is not indeed the one that happens in this episode, but at the end of this series, her real father comes forward.
Oh my gosh!
man.
I need it.
My balls can't handle it. Oh man.
Ugh.
Anyway, but you were exactly right, Alyssa. It was
so
Magneto all the
so
way.
Magneto.
Yeah.
And
So
she's got her accent back.
Yes,
Okay,
so,
which I-
so
I'm glad you
lovely to
noticed that.
hear
I like.
that.
very interesting. So I'm trying to think, like, is that something that like is starting to like she devolves into her accent when she like starts to do like the Scarlet Witch thing, and she's just like, I am evil again, so I have Russian accent. I don't know. Very interesting. But yeah, she gives the
Yeah, or
sword
her
members...
Sokovian kind of like maybe all the time
Sorry,
she spends,
Sokovian accent.
but all the time she spends reminiscing about her brother and
Yeah.
and I get they're running with the idea that she's kind of lost her accent the longer she's spent with the Avengers,
Right.
but this is the real Wanda
Yep.
returning. This is the Age of Ultron Wanda.
Yes.
that
This
was
is the
unhinged.
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, the Scarlet Witch.
So yeah, she gives the sword members a warning. She says, "Stay out of my home, and you don't bother me. I don't bother you." Something like that.
That's very French.
Delicious.
Very, yeah. Don't bother me.
Very
and I will not
offensive
bother
French.
you.
And then she pulls out a baguette and
And just
and a
bitch
cigarette.
slaps him across the face.
Oui, oui. Something to note. So her Sokovian accent starts creeping back in. Monica tries to talk her down and convince her that she is one that can be trusted. And then she's like, "Yeah, like you trust me, like you
you
could've
let me
killed but you
deliver your
didn't."
twins. Yeah.
Yeah, you let me deliver your twins, exactly. So when she does shift all of the guns back towards them, it's all towards Tyler and not Monica. So seemingly,
Which I fully approved of.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, they made it a real point to say when Monica was pushing back on the narrative that Wanda's a terrorist. She was saying, I mean, she didn't say this out loud, but she said she could have killed me if she wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she basically said that. Yeah.
And she pushed me out, but I didn't.
But she protected me.
I didn't get hurt.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, because like flying back that, I mean, first of all, through 4 different walls.
Yeah, 4 different walls.
And then also like
through a force field,
falling like a considerable distance. Like she should have been hurt.
So Wanda knows who this person is. And...
Yeah, for sure. So perhaps it doesn't extend to. Yeah. So the yeah. So, but at least she doesn't. We definitely get the confirmation that she doesn't trust Tyler, and I said, good for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely wrote down the Magneto thing. Like father, like daughter. Yeah, it would be so dope if they set up that cameo.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, Wanda walks back into her hex, but changes it to be a reddish hue before going back in.
It's like she reinforces it with her.
Yeah. Like, is she making it stronger?
Powers. Yeah, that's what I assume.
She's like, force field up.
You're not coming in now.
Power up. Super barrier. Then we get another. Oh, and this is where we get the commercial drop. So we're getting the commercial for Lagos paper towels. For when you make a mess, you didn't mean to.
Yikes.
So obviously,
creative.
It's so great. We're talking about Lagos, Nigeria, the location of where Wanda made her little boo-boo and blew up a portion of a building while trying to protect everyone, which ended up killing a lot of people. So, I mean, this is further proving the theory that these commercials are all like her subconscious memories of her past traumas, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first being Stark's bomb blowing up in her house, the second being Hydra doing experiments on her, and then now this one with Lagos.
I read something that I hadn't thought of, but I kind of think is cool too about the ad.
I want it.
Some people think it's another reference to the Infinity Stones.
Sure.
So the toaster commercial was like power.
Yeah.
The watch was time.
Oh, interesting.
The Tesseract shaped bath powder, space. And then in this commercial, there's like a red liquid spill, which is like a nod to the Aether reality stone.
Sure.
So people are like, so only the mind and body stones, sorry, the mind and soul stones are left.
I'm into that.
So I kind of liked that.
That's cute. That's very cute.
And the Mind Stone is going to be particularly interesting.
I mean, that maybe they're saving that for the grand finale.
What the hell is going on? And how is Vision here without it?
How in the world?
Yeah, how?
How in the world? Tell me how in the world.
Oh, thank you, Ben.
Sing it, Dino. You know this words.
You know this words.
You know this words.
You know this words.
Sparky runs off, and the kids and Wanda go looking for him. The mailman lets them know that their mom won't let him run far, which is also another interesting, like seemingly like conscious choice that he made. You know, winking to like knowing that she is in full control of everything.
Right.
And then we find Agnes behind some bushes, picking up the dead body of Sparky. Oh, and actually, like, she gives a very touching performance.
Yeah, this was super, super rooted and very different from anything else we've seen of Agnes.
Yeah, it
so
felt
far.
very real. But I still am sus of her, though. She says he died because he ate some poisonous leaves in her garden. This is another nod to the Sparky comics, which we talked about earlier, potentially further confirming that Agnes is actually Agatha Harkness. I think we kind of just really, at this point, are just assuming that that's who she is. I mean, it would be weird if she wasn't. But then Tommy asks Mom to resurrect Sparky. Come on, do it, Mom. And Agnes seems like genuinely surprised.
Yeah, I thought that was that was a confusing read to me.
It was a confusing read.
I watched it a couple of times, so
yeah, because she was like, "You can do that?" Like it was like, is she like, "Oh God, you can do that? Yikes!" Or it's like, "Oh wow, that's interesting." Like I'm just wondering if she's worried that the dog will come back to life and then, you know, maybe prove that the Grim Reaper is buried under her house. I don't know. But yeah, Wanda explains to them that she can't reverse death and that death is final. Now that is like a big information drop. But I think that what this is hinting to maybe is that she can't bring people back from the dead, but she might be able to pull people from other universes to fill that void. Foreshadowing.
Yes.
Yep.
She also
And also,
go ahead, Dino.
And also,
no, I was gonna say, like, also it kind of harkens back to the whole plot device with the Infinity Gauntlet, that if somebody died from another means and was not, blipped out of existence, the Infinity Gauntlet could not bring people back.
Right.
As was evidenced with Black Widow.
Right. Very sad.
And Vision. I mean, so we thought.
Yeah, right. Totally.
Yeah, and she that whole scene was so fantastic, and Elizabeth Olsen's every episode I'm just more and more a fan of hers.
Yeah,
and
like
blown
Yeah,
away
it's
by
quite the masterclass in style.
Yeah, just her comments to them, like, I know that you're, like, she's like, please don't age up. I know that your instinct is to, like, run from these hurt, these, truly horrible things, but yeah, it just was really beautiful.
But it's an interesting moment too. Like in a sense, it almost sounds like she's like giving herself a pep talk too.
Oh, she's talking. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and actually both of the instances where she's having the heart to heart with the kids, like she's giving herself like advice that is like, practice what you preach, bitch. Come in. But yeah, so doodly doo. Then we are back in the kitchen after Vision has just buried the dog. Oh my god. They get into an argument because Vision is pushing Wanda on the fact that she is wrongfully controlling all these people and causing them harm, and that she's keeping the ultimate truth from Vision. She tries to end the argument using the end credits, which is hilarious.
She was like, episode's over, homie.
Episode over.
Arguing over the credits is so
going to bed.
Weird and great.
But yeah, and of course Vision is not having it. Also fun to note that the names in the credits are actually Marvel production team names. Again,
nice.
little nods to the production team. Very sweet. But yeah, the argument gets more heated as they head into the living room, where they start to fly. And I wrote down, see who has the best passe, because they're both doing a very cute passe
They
position.
were the cute little Peter Pan flight.
Yeah, my passe is better. No, mine is. He asks, what is outside Westview? And she says, you don't want to know. And I'm curious about that question and that answer. Like, is she saying, like, you don't want to know because you're dead outside of Westview? Is that? Yeah.
I mean, assuming he's actually dead.
Yeah.
And that was my theory, but I mean, you could have a different thought. But
he
I
also
you don't exist.
He also has a big info drop of saying, like, I can't remember my life.
Yes.
Before this.
It's like, this is all so which is further, I think, that vision is dead. This is potentially a new Vision.
That's very, very possible. And then think back to the fact that Wanda is capable of destroying an Infinity Stone.
Right.
But she was capable of destroying the Mind Stone. So could she herself have similar properties in her powers that would allow her? Maybe that explains why she's able to bring Vision back.
Yeah.
She can do what the Mind Stone can.
Very plausibly.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, they're saying, like, I can't bring people back from the dead, or they're asking her to. So it's like, are they kind of like, are these visions kind of like pushing her, like, no, come on, like kind of like they were doing in episode 2, where they were like, for the children, come on, you need to have children. Where are your kids? You should have kids. And then she has kids. And in this episode, they're saying, well, why don't you just bring him back from the dead? She's like, I can't do that. And then, is that what she's inevitably gonna do? I don't know. Very interesting thought. I didn't even think about that until now. But, we're getting very close to the end now. They're interrupted by someone at the door. Who is it? It's her dead brother Quicksilver, but not the Quicksilver that we know from the MCU, Aaron Taylor Johnson, but the Quicksilver we know from Fox's X-Men universe, Evan Peters. Oh my God. This is a historic moment.
I
This is a historic moment for the MCU.
Yeah, I screamed.
Like, yikes.
Yeah, I totally screamed too. I was like, ah! Ah! But yeah, the very first X-Man to be revealed in the universe.
Now,
whoa. Wow.
Just a lot to unpack there, because
the implications are enormous.
The most simple explanation is that
simple, quote unquote.
Right, is that she's manufactured a different Pietro in her attempt to run from the loss she was talking about not running from.
Sure.
Maybe just building an entirely different circumstance, and that Evan Peters' casting is just a nod and a wink, and just this.
Because having the original one would be too much.
Just
of
a coincidence, yeah, right. And this is just a really cool coincidence for everybody. Yeah. Then on the other side of the spectrum, she's ripping people from the Fox X-Men universe into this reality.
That's what I'm leaning towards, because it feels like, especially in that, like I was talking about in that speech earlier, where she said, like, I can't bring people back from the dead. So it's like, so what is she doing here? Is she like, she seemingly has reached across the multiverse and found Fox's X-Men universe and said, oh, hey, there's a Quicksilver I can use. And just yoink. So if that is the case, I mean, wow. I'm just wondering if it was like, if she knowingly did that or unknowingly did that. And,
yeah, I don't know. Her reaction to him.
She looks stunned.
Her reaction to him was interesting to me.
She looked blown away.
Because she was at first like, I think I know who you are, but you're not the one, brother.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
and so I had another thought too, and this is a little bit more on that. But it's possible that maybe he's just he's maybe another villain in disguise, one that we haven't seen yet, which could be Mephisto. Maybe.
Perhaps.
You know?
Could
and
be.
he's like trying to, it's like, oh, things are getting a little out of hand. I need to make her feel better so that it doesn't, like, so this whole world doesn't fall apart kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
So he delivers the one thing that, you know, is going to, like, send her into like a I'm so happy.
Yeah, because I couldn't tell, because like when the doorbell rings, she's like, I didn't do that.
Right, and their world was seemingly about to completely dissolve because of that argument. Like let's just think
and it's
like,
gonna get worse.
Oh, no doubt. Like, yeah, what would have been the next moment after that? You know, had he not come to the door.
And the fact that Vision's brave enough to challenge her.
Yeah,
like he looked ready for a smackdown.
Yeah, this
Right.
episode did something that I love when TV shows do, which is like they ask, it's like as a literal line in the episode asks kind of what the writers were asking as they were writing. And the question of this episode was, what's going to happen when Vision figures out what's going on?
Ooh, yes.
Right.
Oh, that gave me chills when he said that.
And so, I mean, that is the question. Like, that's what the writers are writing.
Yeah, right.
Like, all of these epiphanies, like him awakening people and
The what if scenarios.
yeah, I mean, we need to go back just a little bit, because in the kitchen, Wanda said something, and she said, at first I don't know how all of this started.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a little bit unknowing. Like, yes, she is in control now-ish, but
Right,
how
but
the
how
hell
did it
somebody,
begin?
Somebody or something prompted it.
Yeah.
Or-
Which, like, I would love to sort of get into after, more about the Quicksilver thing, because I something I also noticed too about these particular Quicksilvers, both of them. Aaron Taylor's version wasn't born until 1989.
Mm-hmm.
And Evan Peters' Quicksilver fits more into the 80s timeline better. If you know the Fox's X-Men, it like his character fits into the 80s more than Aaron Tyler's version. I don't know if that's why they chose to do that, but it's just an interesting thought.
I mean,
yeah,
Elizabeth Olsen was born in 1989, so I thought that maybe that's just why they did that.
Very plausible.
But
yeah,
could be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there have been rumors forever about, and they're just that, the rumors, but that the X-Men people were going to be new cast members. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of talk about Xavier and Magneto both being black men.
Oh, interesting.
That was, again, that doesn't come from an official source, but that they had talked about reworking their origins and kind of making a Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. kind of dynamic between them.
Yeah.
Where one is far more militant. Magneto would be the Malcolm X character, and Charles Xavier is more MLK.
Very interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But if they do that, then Quicksilver's inclusion here
might be a little bit tricky.
If he is still the son of Magneto, then.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this is my last thought about this episode. Basically, was that like at this point, anything is possible.
Yes, yes,
literally anything is possible. So like, why not both? Why not both of those things that you just said?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, why could it not be both?
Well, and what's stopping them from having? I mean, they are going the direction of multiple realities,
right?
And
my
really,
thought is that there will actually be like the MCU version of X-Men, and then they'll have like
that's how they justify the existence of the Fox movies, the continued existence of them.
They're existing
without
in
really
their own
having
universe.
without having to actually pull on that thread. They can say that's
another universe,
and they're kind of doing that. Rumored that they're doing that with Spider-Man.
Totally.
That,
yeah.
They're going to acknowledge Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina and William Dafoe.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So, my God, that movie is going to literally be nuts.
And Jamie Foxx and
the Sinister Six, right?
I mean, so yeah, I'm just really fascinated to see if this all ends up being kind of a reverse House of M, where mutants are either created. If she creates them, in which case that changes everybody's origins.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if she's ripping the X-Men and a Magneto and a Charles Xavier from another reality. And
there was a line in this episode that I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Darcy. And she was like, Wanda is rewriting reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which that was a trippy.
She recast Pietro.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Which, again, is another nod to what sitcoms do. They just don't comment on it, and they just recast people, and they're like, oh, yeah, this has been the person the whole time. And you're like, no, they weren't.
Yep.
But, yeah, so going back to your point about Wanda not knowing how this all started. So she went in to get she broke into SWORD to get the dead body of Vision. I'm just trying to figure out what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? If she wasn't the one that caused whatever happened in Westview, and she just like got sucked into it somehow, or maybe perhaps there's a being there that kind of like said, hey, if you bring me Vision's body, I might be able to help you bring him back to life, or I'll teach you how to use your powers to bring him back to life. And she's like, okay, I'll do it. And then but of course, it's back to the question about about her making this like it's a quarantine. Like there was thousands of people that are stuck in here, but there's also thousands of people that she potentially saved by making the quarantine. Like, what is she saving the world from? Yeah.
Or what is she trying to keep out?
I
don't think she wants to be a part of the world anymore because it's been so cruel to her.
Yeah, right. Because quarantine could also mean that she just wants
herself
to be alone.
Yeah.
Totally. Mm-hmm. But it's just the confusing part of what Monica said was that she seemingly is saving people on the outside from, maybe she thinks that she's saving everybody from her.
Right. Let me live my life and you can live yours.
Yeah, like if I keep myself in here, then I'm not going to do what's going to happen in the multiverse,
which we all
of
know
madness.
is going to happen. Yes.
Because apparently they're gonna think that they're saving the day in WandaVision by setting everybody free, and then they're going to, potentially
she's gonna lose it.
Yeah, she's gonna lose it, and it's gonna start a huge domino effect.
Enter Doctor Strange.
Enter Doctor Strange. Wow, what an episode. Right?
There's two things that I noticed that I forgot to say. There were a couple of like Twilight Zone moments in this episode.
Absolutely.
But one that I noticed is Agnes lives on the corner of Maple Street and Sherwood Drive.
Oh, sure.
And there's like a line in the Twilight Zone that says the monsters are due on Maple Street.
Hello.
So that's interesting. Also, one of the camera
monsters.
Yes, monsters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the camera feeds that we see at Sword said satellite 348, and I was like, with the numbers thing, Avengers number 348 had a Vision-centric cover and story.
Hello.
So,
of
just
course
another
it did.
thing.
Of course it did.
Also, we finally get the names of Wanda's parents, which we in MCU had not ever heard their names.
Right.
And they are calling them Irina and Oleg Maximoff, but in the comics they were known as Django and Maria.
Now, and are we assuming too that these are her adopted parents?
Well,
maybe?
we can't really assume that until they introduce
whoever it is.
Magneto.
Yeah.
Eric Lencher.
Because we're just like we're putting that out there into the universe or the multiverse, I guess.
Right.
I mean, and if they do that, he can't be the Holocaust survivor that he was.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing.
Unless he is ripped from another
universe.
But you see where like the dilemma is, like it's not going to be Ian McKellen who walks through the door.
Right.
Or even Michael Fassbender, because like by this
sure.
time, if he's a Holocaust survivor, he's 90 something years old, almost 100. So there's gonna have to be some changing of backstories if they even make him their father.
Right.
Right.
I don't know.
Whoa.
Very, very
and this goes back to like a Captain America theory that's been sitting there forever that I've like really loved and grappled to and wished it was true, and I don't know if it will be, but that Captain America saved Eric Lencher from the concentration camps.
I love that.
But it just doesn't match up with all the continuity
that would
now.
Be really
but just
neat.
that would be like an interesting turn of events.
Man.
Oh wow.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do with ourselves?
Well, we're going to watch.
We're going to watch.
And then we're going to talk about it.
Guys, we're only like, we're just like halfway through the season.
Well, we're on the backward slide. What was that, episode 5?
That was 5, yeah. Are there
Oh, so
are there
10
yeah,
you're right.
8?
I guess there's 4 or 9. No, I think there's 9.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have 4 more.
And a rumor, somebody thought there was a rumored 10th that was unannounced.
Wow.
I don't know what the purpose of that is, but maybe that'll become clear.
And the episodes are getting longer. Hope they get longer.
Yeah. Wow.
God willing. But yeah.
I mean, at the rate it's escalating now, I'm struggling to think of what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. It literally could be anything.
Anything.
They've still got plenty of episodes left, so it's like, okay, well.
Do we know for sure that the 90s episode is Roseanne, or was that just a like?
You don't want to. You want to know from me because I saw the. I mean, unless you want me to spoil it. I mean,
there was an initial trailer, not the most recent one, but there was an initial one that had like really quick cuts between all of the the decades, and it just looked like
in the style of
a
Roseanne.
working class 90s.
Yeah.
It's very plausible that
sitcom
they're
stuff.
pulling from that too, but there was one very specific show that it's like, oh, this is undeniable. It's this show.
Well, say it. Just say it.
Just say it. It's from Modern Family because they're gonna do
For
like
their contemporary show is Modern Family.
where they're
Okay.
gonna cut to the camera where they're doing like an aside and she's gonna be speaking directly to the camera.
Gotcha.
Right.
They're gonna have one of those moments. Yeah. That was all that they showed. That was like, oh yeah, that's very clearly Modern Family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I'm
is going to be
excited.
so wacky.
Yeah. It's
Wacky
also
and
so
playful,
fun,
fun too.
just the style of filming of this show, using both single and multicam. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't think of any other show that's done that.
Right.
And messing with aspect ratio mid-show
Yeah.
and
And it must be
the,
so
the color
fun.
tint they had again.
Like
Just-
I'm sure it's like equal parts like super fun and equal parts like super stressful for the actors just having to literally change styles.
Oh yeah.
every
I mean, Paul
episode.
Bettany said the first episode they shot in front of a live studio audience was as nervous as he's ever been.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
we had a real bad
pressure.
inferiority complex.
Sure,
It's like,
sure.
well,
Wow. Well,
So fun.
awesome.
Unfounded.
Awesome. Do y'all have
That-
any other thoughts before we wrap this little sucker up?
I mean, I talked a lot.
God help
I'm
us.
spent.
Okay, well, I guess until next week.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Inside the Tauntaun, a Star Wars
Don't
podcast.
forget to leave your comments down
Yes.
underneath.
Comment, like, subscribe. It helps us.
Like and subscribe.
And yeah, we'll be back next week to chat about episode 6.
Y'all's queen.
Thanks so much for listening. I am Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
and I'm Dino Nicandros.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
Love you 3000.